Hey everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to make a collage fodder folder from one sheet of paper. You need an A4 size sheet of paper. I picked one of my jelly prints and I would recommend that you don't use very thick paper. Mine measures 120 GSM, so it's not as thick, so it's easy to fold. I'm starting out by folding that paper with not in half but on the long side, and it's almost in half. I left about 2 centimeters at the top. All of the measurements I'm eyeballing, so I do not measure with a ruler. Then I fold that in half, and then I fold each flap to the middle crease, but not directly to the crease. I'll leave about a centimeter of a gap here. I did a similar folder a while back for artist trading cards. It is quite similar, but the measurements are a bit different because here I want to have some pockets for also smaller elements and not for bigger artist trading cards. And now I have a little booklet, and of course now we have to fold a little bit more to get some pockets in there. First I'm cutting off that part that's overlapping just from the back side and just until the first crease. So I leave the middle part of that. And again, I do not mind if something is not exactly right or lining up. If you want that, you can measure everything, but I don't like that because I want to have a quick project and not something I have to work on for hours. I always have to think a little, and I have a little dummy booklet from just a piece of white paper, so I can always have a look how it's folded, and then I also know where I have a back and a front. It's always good to have a double-sided paper so you don't have only white on the back side, because you will see something of the back. Unfortunately, mine was not fully printed, but I'm going to cut off something here, and I will decorate the rest of the white paper with some stamping when I'm done, so it's not as empty as it looks here. I'm also cutting away a piece of these parts of the paper. It's a bit bigger than the other one I've cut away, and I will keep these cutaway parts because we need 2 of them later for another pocket. And now we can make 2 pockets. We have one behind that white edge you can see, and one on the diagonal. I can't pronounce that word. We will later glue that together, but before I do it, I'm going to decorate the white paper parts because I think they are a bit too white and I don't like how this is looking. And also what I wanted to do, I want to round the edges that I have here with my corner rounders. So I think that it looks a bit nicer. Of course, our little booklet also needs a closure, and I'm going to use just a simple decorative brad that I will put to the front, and then I will tie a piece of ribbon around or whatever, and then I can just close that book easily. And I have a few decorative brads, well, not a few, I have many left from my past, I would say, scrapbooking phase. And I, I, I used to do some mini albums, scrapbooking mini albums in the past, and there it's always nice to have some decorative elements. And I have a bunch of them, and I will now go through them to see which color will fit my little booklet. I picked the red one because I think that was the nicest for the turquoise greenish background, and I just use a needle to make a little hole to the front cover, and then I'm going to pull the brad through. You can also use a piece of a circle paper and then adhere it with an eyelet to the book, and then you can make a similar closure, of course. If you don't have a brad, you could always use just a rubber band to close the book, or you can adhere a ribbon around the cover before you decorate the cover, and then you can just tie it with a bow. I'm using some tape to fix the backside of this brad so it does not hurt my collage pieces. I'm going to stuck into that pocket, and it also stays in place. It also would be nice to have some holes here, just as a decorative part. And I'm going to use just a circle punch and punch these half holes to the back pockets. It's optional, you don't have to do that. But as I have this punch, it's quite a nice thing to do. And now, before I glue everything together, I'm going to stamp the white parts that are on the back side of my paper, and I'm using a script stamp from our Mix It Up number 6 stamp set to do that. I picked a rusty brown ink from StazOn, but my ink pad is a little bit contaminated already, and also the stamp had some black ink on, so it's not truly that color, but I don't mind. It's just fine. It just brings in a little bit texture and interest, and the white is not as white anymore. For the little corners that are peeking out, I'm going to use a star stamp from our Mix It Up number 4 stamp set. By the way, I'm not sure if I've mentioned that I have been using a jelly print, and the jelly print is made with our lace doilies stamp set. I'm pretty sure there is a jelly printing session where I make this print, but that must be way in the past. I think it could be 3 years already. I don't know. I'm going to link up the jelly printing session playlist to the top right corner info box, so you can check that out if you want some jelly printing inspiration. For now, I'm gluing the pockets together, and the only pocket I'm gluing here is the front one, and I add glue to the bottom and to the outsides, and then I fold it in. What I did not think about was that it's better to glue the crease of the back pocket just a little bit, so the crease does not open completely, so your collage elements do not fold around in the back pocket. I waited until everything was dry, and I will glue my back pocket later, but I would recommend doing this as the first step. Just into the crease a little bit of glue for the back pocket so it does not open completely and your fodder cannot fall around in there. Here I'm going to decorate the cover of that folder because I really enjoy when these folders look a bit nice, and I love using them. In the past I thought, well, that's a nice crafty project, but you really don't need it. But I use them a lot, and I always make myself one when I need storage for elements, because it's so nice when they are a bit organized, and it's also very inspiring to flip through them. I have some vintage tickets here that I've made a while ago, and I think I shared a video in my membership program how I made these, and I really like to use them just for decorating stuff, greeting cards, tags, or like here, that folder. And I also use some of the mushrooms I made in my last video. I already used a bunch now because I made another fodder pocket, which I will also share here at the end of the video. And I also made a bunch of original pages with these mushrooms that I'm going to share throughout the next weeks. I plan to go on holidays by the end of August, and our shop will also be closed. Well, not closed, but we do not ship out orders between, I would say, around the 15th and September 5th. So not sure about the date yet, but I also have to then prepare my YouTube videos, and that's what I did during the weekend. And I made some original pages also with these mushrooms. And here you see the other folder I've made. I just stick it together because the glue was still a little bit wet. I really love these mushrooms because they are super versatile, and I have so many that for every background I've made, I could find some mushrooms that would fit onto the page. And also, I think I mentioned that in my last video, if you're using your jelly prints for your collage fodder, like I did it here, and paper piece your stamped images, then you always have a cohesive look throughout this batch you've made, and that's nice because then everything looks a bit harmonic. I picked a neon pink piece of ribbon to just to use it as my closure, and I tie it around that bread that I've put in the beginning. I think that's a lovely way to close any kind of pocket or booklet. I now thought I would arrange the mushrooms into that pocket, and quickly realized that I need a smaller pocket for the very small elements. And I had these cutaway parts from the beginning from the same piece of paper, and I decided to make 2 extra pockets to the front. I think at first I wanted to round the edges, but then I decided to just fold it over so it gives a more stable edge. And I will also fold the bottom, and then I have a flap that I can glue to the folder, and that will, wait a minute, that will be the top, so it's a bit more stable, and the flap for the bottom, I will glue down only the flap, and that means I have a little bit more room in this pocket compared as if I would just glue down the piece of paper like a pocket. So with that flap you get a bit more room and space to put things in. And I'm doing the same thing to the other side because I had 2 pieces of paper cut off. I'm using the bigger ones here because here I'm able to fold the edges over, and with the folded edge at the top it just becomes more stable when you put things in, and I think it looks a bit nicer. I'm doing the same here again, folding 2 flaps. I just eyeball everything, I do not measure anything, and I'm closing one of them completely as my top, and then I will adhere the other to the bottom of the left side. I already had filled in my mushrooms, and this was also the state where I realized that I need to adhere the crease of the back pocket as well, so the elements do not fall around inside, because that's a bit annoying when you then want to close it and you have a piece behind the crease. So that's just a little bit complicated. And I'm going to do the same here to the other folder that I've made, but I did not record that because I think it's not very interesting. And here you can see me gluing the crease together just with a tiny amount of glue. I don't want to glue the pockets together, just the crease. So I have 2 pockets on the back, not just one big one. Then I have 2 smaller ones, and I'm doing the same here to the other folder that I've made. I like that even more because both sides were printed. I will try to find that jelly printing video because I think I called it patchwork jelly printing, and maybe I can find that and link it up to the top right corner info box. It's a really nice way to make lovely prints that are very unique and very versatile because you have so many different colors on one print. Now we're also going to decorate that other folder I've made. And I'm going to use also the mushrooms for this, but I have picked another piece of paper for the collage because I think the vintage tickets do not fit the bright colors of this pocket. I'm gluing down just a piece, I think it's an old book page that I've colored with distress inks, and I use it as kind of a bottom where the mushrooms can grow out of. And I also picked mushrooms where the colors fit quite nicely, and that's what I meant before, that you always find some that will go with your background. Yes, and that was my video for today. We have now 2 collage fodder pockets. They are really lovely, I think. Here I have some close-up images for you, and you will also find photos over on our blog, and that's linked up in the video description, and I'm also linking up all the products I've been using. Thank you so much for stopping by today, and I hope we will see us next time. Bye.